20-yard run up.
Dear! Good ball for Roberto Carlos. Hooked into the penalty area towards Zidane.
Nani.
Rooney! Oh, wonderful!
Manchester City are still alive here. Balotelli. Aguero!
Hello, good afternoon. Ignore my hair. It looks shocking. Ignore my hair. I just realised as I came into focus, what on earth is going on? We're not here to worry about that. Welcome, Alan from Time Added On. How are you, Alan from Time Added On?
I'm very well. Thank you very much. And yeah, no excuse. The hair. You've got to have the hair done when you're going live.
Do you know what? I'm having a midlife crisis, mate. I'm not sure what's going on with it these days. Listen, Alan, big up to everyone in the chat. Big up to everybody in the chat. There's already 342 of you in here, which is absolutely crazy. We haven't even really started. You know the rules. You know the admin. Come on, smash that like button. 340 people, 62 likes. And we all know the rules as well for my show. We always set a target for the number of subscribers we want to hit. By the end of this show, I'm going to tell you, by the end of this show, we want to hit 8,537 subscribers. Alan, enough about that. Here we go. The 3 words that all football fans look forward to. It's taken its time, but Vandeven, we've got the here we go. What's your initial thoughts an hour after the news?
Well, I was watching your show earlier on, and we must be in the mud because literally, I saw that show earlier on. It's been, look, we've been saying that we've wanted this deal done. It's taken 7 weeks. So it's not we're in the mud. It's finally getting to where we want it to be. This should have happened before we went away on our preseason tour. Defender should have been in to get used to Ange's system. It's come several weeks late, but it's finally here. Obviously, the defender that Ange wants. So that's a massive bonus as well. It's not somebody that's like, okay, you wanted Vandeven, we'll give you Phillips and make do. So it looks like the person who Ange wants. So it looks like they're finally trying to give a manager the tools to do the job. It's taken 7 weeks, and it's still, obviously, for me, a caveat in the fact that it's going to take time to get him into the team and used to the system. So it's not going to be a great start to the season, but we can't judge Micky Vandeven and Ange on this situation we've got to work with. It's a great signing for me. With the high line, quick, fast-paced, defending on the ground is really good. Aerial ability is good, but obviously I've seen some clips of him when he's moving and aerially he's a bit suspect from what I've seen. So I'm like, okay, that's something to work on. But overall, the right person to fit the system. I'm happy. Well, it's like, here we go. Knowing Spurs, something could possibly still go wrong. There's a £5 note missing, and we're like, no, we've got to pull it. So I'm not until we actually get in the the picture and obviously like the video release. But it's a very good addition to that defense, and it will help strengthen that defense massively. So, I'm all happy for that. It's a good signing. Finally got one of the defense we needed, but we need to add more.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up Danny Kiriakou. Nearly made it on time. This is as close as you've ever been to being on time.
Probably is.
I'm really proud of you for that one, mate.
Cheers, Sav. Cheers.
Look, no, you're welcome. Listen, look, Danny, I'll get your view on this, and I'll share my screen just quickly, just so we can see what it actually was that Fabrizio Romano said. Listen, I know lots of people are reporting it, but you know, Romano is the go-to guy, right? It's who you model yourself on. Of course. So, he has said, Micky Vandeven to Tottenham, here we go. Verbal agreement in place for a €50 million package with add-ons included in that. Dutch centre-back to travel in the next 24 hours for his medical. Contract agreed until 2028. Deal done with Jose Fortes Rodriguez from Raiola. Wolfsburg set to prepare documents soon. Mate, it's been a real long time coming to get this deal over the line. I'm going to go straight in with this. Let me know what you think of the player. But the pessimism in me, the Daniel Levy hater in me thinks Veliz, here we go. Vandeven, here we go. Kane, I think, will go. And then I think we'll get another here we go after that. So it'll almost be like the proverbial crap sandwich, so to speak. Am I just being negative? Or what's your feelings, Danny? Talk to me.
Look, I think, like I was saying earlier on your show, Sav, when I was saying to you, like, do you think it's a lot of money?
Yeah.
It is definitely a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. It's not like it's a cheap player. It's not like it's a 20 million, 25 million pound player. It's a lot, right? But it's definitely, I think it's a good deal for Spurs because we've needed this for how many years now? Like, it's just been ridiculous, right? Since Vertonghen. He's basically going to be Vertonghen's replacement. So I think it's good on that aspect that we've gone.
Let that sink in.
Yeah, I know. From Vertonghen, right?
Vertonghen.
I know. He's Vertonghen's replacement, right?
Wow.
So it's been years coming. So I think when you actually look at it in retrospect from that perspective, it's definitely not a lot in that sense, right?
Yeah.
So look, I think he's going to be a good signing for us. And the good thing about this is it seems that he's the guy that the manager wanted. It does. It seems like he wanted him at Celtic before. He's talked about him before. And it seems that they've gone out and got who the manager wanted as his target, is one of his main targets. So I think that's definitely a good thing that we've seen today. I know it's taken a lot longer than what everyone wanted, but the good thing is he's here now, or he's going to be here. It looks like it's pretty much done. So it's positive news. And look, I think he's a young defender, so I don't want to see people like what I hope people don't do is judge him instantly, right? Like as soon as he has a bad moment, oh look, he's this word, he's rubbish, or he's this, or he's
get
that.
the money back.
Yeah, it's like you want to. He's 22 years old, so people have got to understand. We've got to give this time to this guy to grow into this team and understand what the manager wants from him, because he's got all the attributes you want in a modern day centre back, right? He's tall, he's like Alan said, he's good. He's better in the air than what we've got, right? So he might not be amazing in the air. Considering he's 6'4", you probably expect him to be a bit better in the air. But look, he's 22. He can grow, right? So he's better than what we've got. He's very good on the ball. He's very, very good on the ball. He's very quick. He's rapid, which is definitely, and he's physically strong, which is going to help for the Premier League. So look, I think we've got a very good young, promising player here, talent here. So I think it's going to be. I think we just need to get the other centre back in, whoever it's going to be. As long as it's not Longley, then I'm all right. But do you know what, Sav? You know you're mentioning about Harry Kane, right? I feel that we're going to get that's it, buying out of it. That's it. We're done. Not going. That's what I think personally.
Look, let's get into it. Look, this show. I did a video about. I did a video about 1 o'clock. I recorded it at 1, released it at 2, and I said, right, guys, we'll be doing a show at 4, and we'll talk about whatever crazy things happen in the next few hours. And it's brilliant. I went and sat down, watched Sky Sports, and it was Spurs Harry Kane, Spurs Vandeven, Spurs might be going after Gift Orban. I'm like, keep it coming. Let's get this news rolling. Look, before we move on to the Harry Kane situation, Alan, I think the thing with Micky Vandeven as well is you hit the nail on the head. Danny said it as well. It's who the manager wanted, because he wanted him at Celtic as well a year or so back. But it's a centre half that fits the system, and I think for many years I don't remember us buying footballers to fit a system if we've had one.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the case in point last year, Basuma didn't fit the Conte system, but we got him. And it was one of them things. I think also. Spent like a player like last window, Spence was bought that wasn't what Conte wanted. So this transfer window, it seems like that's been addressed, which is the Spurs. It's absolutely, remarkable that we're finally giving a manager the tool to do the job that they want to do. Because normally, like say, you've always got a player that they didn't want. You always get the second or third choice and all that, and it's all a bit hit and miss. This transfer window, from everything I've seen, and even Udoji coming in, who was bought before him, can kind of fit his system with the left wing back, or like going up and inverting and stuff like that. So it looks like finally things are being done that will sort out a manager and fit a manager system. And as long as we continue to do that and we don't fall short, like in regards to, who else do you want? Like we know that we're linked with maybe a Tosin or a Savva as a push. or obviously a youngster at Veliz. If we were to now go and get like a Harry Maguire, then it'll be like there's always something at Spurs. So we need to get the finish, getting people over the line that the manager wants. But that, although it's going to be a slow start to the season through adapting and obviously people coming in late, it shouldn't stop it being a bad, because it should neglect it being a bad start altogether. So yeah, as long as we keep getting the right people in, then it's interesting for the manager.
Yeah, absolutely. Big up to all the Henry Wright fake accounts that are flying around. He loves them.
Of course he does.
Look, first and foremost, I should say a couple of super chats. Linda Belcher said, "Oh my God, hello Savva. Hello to you, Linda. I hope you are well. How are you? Are you good?" Great picture, by the way. And Donovan Davies as well, always a big supporter of the channel, said a great day so far. Let's keep going. Absolutely. We're going to talk about keep going. There are 699 of you in this chat right now. Smash the likes. There's only 173. To guarantee to get your message read out, put it as a super chat. And smash that subscribe button, people. 33 more for the 8,500. What are we waiting for? Let's do it. Let's move on, guys. We'll talk about Vandeven in a bit more, but look, we can't go 15 minutes into a show and not talk about this. Not talk about this situation with Harry Kane. So, a report came out from, I believe is it Jason Burt,
the Telegraph,
from the Telegraph, saying, "Hey, they've whacked a deadline on this. It must be wrapped up by 12 p.m. tonight." In my video, I went, "That's mental. Do they even know who Daniel Levy is? He doesn't. That's our leader. That's our guy. Big Daniel. You know, he's not going to negotiate like that." And then less than an hour later, Bayern Munich come back in. I believe it's 100 million euros plus add-ons. So I believe in today's exchange rate, it's roughly 86 million pounds plus add-ons, which I'm guessing will take the deal to 100 million. That's a guess. I don't know what those add-ons are. Danny.
Yes.
Let's start with you. Let's take our emotion out of this. If Kane is not signing a new contract, he's got to accept that, hasn't he? If he's not signing, we can't risk this and we can't have this drama for another year, can we?
You'd like to think so, but do you know what, Savva? You know, I was talking to you the other day on your show when we were discussing about Harry Kane and whether it's good to get rid of him if an offer comes in of an acceptable offer, right? I think it's definitely good for the future of the club and for the club if we're going to move away from Harry Kane, if he's not going to be part of the future plans, right? To start fresh, get rid of him, get the players in. Let's sit here and say no one wants Kane to go because he is an unbelievable player, right? That like you said, take the emotion out of it. If you're looking at it from a perspective of the team, right? I think it probably is better for the team to move on now while we can, while we've got a new manager, everything's new way of playing. We can hit the ground running with that manager and who he wants to bring in, right? And maybe go and get a younger replacement, whoever that might be. I know we've already signed pretty much another striker, but look, with Harry Kane, I just personally think, right, he's probably looking at it from his perspective. And if I was in his shoes, right, I would probably, if it was me, I would probably give it another season, right?
I agree.
Because purely for the fact that not only is it that it kind of feels like Levy's giving him Bayern as the only option. And for him, it's like, well, look, if I give it one more season, I could pretty much go to any club
anywhere,
I want.
right?
Anywhere. And I guarantee you.
But that's him, right? That's him, Danny, right?
That's him, of course.
If we look at all the different angles, you've got him.
If
I was him, I would do that. You've got Levy, who's got to think about the football club.
But
and
do you know what,
fan,
Sam? Yeah.
Sorry,
do you know what? I was going to say, right? I think I know what you're going to say. What I'd say, right, is that I think Daniel Levy's looking at it from this perspective, right? He is Mr. Tottenham to Daniel Levy. He's Tottenham's golden boy. He's generational talent, record club goal scorer. He is Mr. Tottenham, right? He's everything. What Harry Kane epitomizes is Tottenham to Daniel Levy. I'm just saying what I think Daniel Levy sees Kane as, right? I think that for him, he feels that if he doesn't get what he feels Kane is worth, then there's no way he's going to sell him this summer, right? I think that magic number, just like it is if he was going to sell the club, I think that magic number is around, I think it's £100 million or a bit more, right? And I don't think Bayern Munich are going to pay that money because that's a lot of money. If they do, I'd be more surprised, right? What I think as well is that I've got this feeling that Daniel Levy's probably sitting there thinking, do you know, if we can persuade Kane, if we can keep him one more season, right? Who knows if he likes Ange, he likes the way we're playing, he likes the direction of where things are going this season. If for some reason we overachieve and we're going in the right direction again, maybe, just maybe, Kane might look at it and think, do you know what? Maybe I will stay. Maybe I will stay. And that's kind of how I feel, right? Where Harry Kane might kind of be in his head place, and where Levy thinks maybe we can just sway him if he stays one more season. And I think Daniel Levy's willing to take that risk, right, and not get anything for him in the summer next summer if he does decide to not sign a contract and leave. I don't know how you think, Alan, about this, but
so for me, look, the way I see it is okay. He may want to take a risk on it, but at the end of the day, at the end of the day, Spurs as a club, you either want the money or you want the money ahead of him going on a free. Because when he goes on a free, not only are you going to lose the money for him, but he's going to a Premier League team and then he's going to come against you. There's no way he's going to Bayern on a free. When he goes on a free, he will go to either Man United or Chelsea. And then it's not just the fact we lose money, it's that we've got him for a rival team, obviously trying to take points off of us. So for me, I would definitely take money. And the thing I'll say about Daniel Levy is maybe all those years ago when he could have spent a little bit extra money to get an extra player in or two to get us winning a trophy, we wouldn't be in this situation. Kane would be like, I want at Spurs. I'm happy to stay at Spurs. Because we have tight owners that won't invest. But that's just the way I see it. Do
you know what, Alan? I was going to say, Sav, when you just popped away, I was just saying that I've got this funny feeling that Daniel Levy might look at it and think that there's a possibility that he can keep Kane if the club somehow overachieve Ange's season and it looks positive to Harry Kane. I think he's probably thinking maybe we can sway Kane's mind to sign a contract at the end of the summer or before the contract actually is up, right? And I think he's going to use Kane's love for the club, because I still feel deep down Harry Kane still wants to win stuff at Tottenham. I think in his head, his ideal situation would be Levy, back the manager, back the squad, get top quality players in, or get quality players in enough to try and compete for trophies, right? I think in the back of Kane's mind, he still wants to do that at Spurs. But I think it's that point where he's looking and thinking, can I give it one more year and see what happens? And then maybe if not, then I can choose whoever I want to go to in the world, because let's face it, Harry Kane's going to be offered a contract from every top club in Europe, right? Let's face it, it's going to happen.
Listen, I think this is the key thing, right? I think sometimes, we can talk with emotion, we can talk with facts, and we can talk with what's best for the club and what's best with fans, right? First and foremost, I get a lot of people going, oh my God, you just want to sell Kane. I've always caveated this and said, yes, I want to sell him if he doesn't want to sign a contract. I don't just want to sell our best players, right? It's not like I'm going, what, Kane's on a 5-year contract? Yeah, just sell him for 85, 90 million, whatever it's going to be. Lots of people in the chat, everyone's saying it's 120. I've not seen that report. I've not seen anything. Have you, boys? I thought it was 100 million euros plus add-ons is what I saw.
So, I mean, no, apparently that was there was some reports saying that the final offer was around that figure, 100 million euros, right? And that was all they were going to go to, maybe with some add-ons as well. But it's still not enough for what Daniel Levy wants. I think it's about 10 million pounds off what he would expect, or so, 10, 15 million.
Yeah. I mean, I think the interesting thing here, Danny, for me is, again, and look, you know me, I've always had the ability to remove my emotion from Tottenham when talking about Tottenham. It pisses people off at times because it means that it's not all rainbows and clouds. And rainbows and clouds? Those things go together?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah,
rainbows, clouds,
Let's just pretend I got that analogy.
We'll go with it. We'll go with it.
Yeah. I think the key thing for me is I just can't, like Alan said, he's going to be a Premier League club. I think it's going to be a Premier League club or either Barca or Real. Right?
That's what I was thinking.
I think they're the options. Yeah. Barcelona next year, Lewandowski's 36 now?
Yeah.
They might look at that. And let's be fair, do you want to go and play with Pedri, with Gavi, with, you know, Frankie de Jong and all those good players that Barcelona have got. It looks like Gundogan's there. They want Bernardo Silva and Cancelo as well.
And it's like Man City basically, but with Harry Kane. That's basically what it could be. Yeah.
And then you've got Real Madrid, who, if they don't buy a top forward this year, they could potentially get Mbappe and Kane on a free. That's mental, right? Mbappe and Kane, the best two free transfers of all time.
Yeah.
Then you've got Man United, depending on how far they are with their movement. You've got the Poch link with Chelsea. I'm guessing Man City might fancy their chances at taking him up there to play
on a free. Anyone, even Liverpool on a free.
Yeah, Liverpool. Yeah.
Right. So my thing is this. I see lots of people in the chat saying it, and loads of people said this for ages. If Declan Rice is 105 million pounds, then Kane has to be more.
Yeah.
My point to all of that little rant, guys, was I don't think this is a time to be worrying about tit for tat. I don't think this is a time to be going, well, if Declan this, what about this? I care about my club, and it will be gutting to lose him for free. That for me is the bigger picture. Is there any way, off the back of what Danny just said there, Alan, is there any way that Kane stays, sees that we're this brilliant side in the space of 6 months and decides to sign a new contract?
Before we do that, like you just said about like the tit for tat thing in regards to Declan Rice, there are absolute melts on the socials gone, well, we got Kane for nothing, so we can give him away for nothing. Absolutely ridiculous. You've got an asset like that who, if he doesn't want to be there, you need to cash in on. But in regards to Harry Kane, I'm trying to look back at where it was when Man City wanted him. He came in Man City wanted him, and then I think he didn't show up for the season until November, December. You can't have that attitude. If he wants to go now and he's saying, look, behind the scenes, I want to go, you can't have that attitude, like, especially with a new manager, with a new team. You've got to be like, okay, we need to take the money. This is the best offer we're going to get and get rid. People see us on here going, we need to get rid of Kane. And they instantly go, oh, all he's done for the club. I can't believe you're talking like that. And people can't separate the fact that we're saying it's what's best for the club. We're not saying anything bad about the striker or the player and everything he's done for Spurs, but it's time to get the money back for him and reinvest in the team. But people seem to not be able to differentiate between the two. As soon as you go get rid of Harry Kane, people like that, or you don't like him, or you think he's this. No, it comes to the point he doesn't want to be at Spurs. It was the same with Eriksen. Eriksen said he wanted to go, and we left it way too late. His performance is dipped, and then we sold him for a much less price. If we don't sell him now, we lose out on that. Reinvest it back into the team. And with everyone going in the club, oh, there's not enough. We've got to live within our means, this, that, and the other. You need the extra cash flow to help because they don't like giving out money. So you have to live within our means, build a squad based on that.
That's the point, Alan. If you're right. As much as we're not accountants, and I always make a point of saying I'm not an accountant, right? It's not my job isn't the finances. If Kane walks on a free next year, and Spurs fans are then going, oh, go and sign this player. We'll just chuck names in it. This striker, that striker. And if the club are going, hang on, we ain't got any money for that striker because, hang on, we've just lost Harry Kane for free. I wonder if those fans that are saying now don't sell him for 90 million or whatever, 90 million pounds, 100 million pounds. Yeah. I wonder if they'll be thinking the same thing a year today when he goes on a free and we bring in a really cheap striker.
But of course they won't. And the thing is, it's not just that. I mean, like, that's the same thing. But this is the first season without European football. And all of a sudden we hear from the club we've got to live within our means. So those years upon years of getting Champions League football and sustained European football meant all BS, basically, because we've now not got the money with that game-changing stadium that was going to be able to make us compete at the highest level. This is what I mean. So fans want their cake and eat it, but they can't have it both ways. You either get the money for the player, or supposing we have a bad year with Anthony, it doesn't quite work first season, and we miss out on European football, 8th again, like do what Arsenal did, 2 8s in a row. Then when we get to the point in, okay, Harry Kane's now gone on a free, let's reinvest into the squad. Oh, we don't have that money, so we're going to have to get a cheap striker, and then people will be sitting there going, well, why can't we get a striker in?
Look,
well,
do you know,
you didn't take that money. You didn't take that money when we needed it.
Can I caveat what you're saying, Alan? Because I think what people also forget is the fact that what actually does Harry Kane want, because he hasn't actually come out and said, I want to leave the club. And he hasn't said he wants to, but all the reporters from the actual, let's just say the reporters, journalists, whatever, they've said that if if the club accepts an offer, then he will speak to them. He doesn't necessarily mean he's going to go. It's like, do you not think, do people not actually sit there and think, hold on a minute, does Harry Kane actually want to feel like that Bayern is the only option he's got when he knows damn well that next season he can choose whoever he wants to go to, and the power.
Yeah, but Danny, hang on. Let's also be brutally honest about this. For Bayern Munich to come in all this time, bid after bid, conversation with Levy, they would have had assurances from Harry Kane that once that number's hit, I'm joining. Otherwise, they wouldn't be doing this. Like their people would have been speaking to Kane and his agent all this time. They must know, right? Yeah, surely there's no way Levy goes, go on then, and then Kane goes, I've changed my mind.
No, but I know what you mean. Yeah, of course they probably would have spoken, right? But like if we're looking at it, like I think it's more for me. I feel it's more a fact that if the club say yes, they're willing to accept an offer, and then he feels okay, then that's fine then because they've said okay, we're going to sell you, right? That's like the inclination to him to say they're happy for me to go, right? I've got a feeling that he still probably wants to choose who he wants to go to. I just feel that just personally, I just think that if I just don't see Daniel Levy going to Kane like that's it. Like we've got the offer in, you're gone. Like go and do your thing, sort of thing.
But isn't this the best time? But by the way, sorry, just quickly before we talk about isn't this the best time? Remind me, I said that there are 867 people in this chat. Absolutely brilliant numbers. Great to see you all. But 260 of you have smashed that like button. 874 now. It's absolutely going crazy. And if 30 of you haven't subscribed, please do so we can hit the 8,500 before the end of this show. Subscribe to Tottenham on Tour for Danny as well. Subscribe to Alan at Time Added On. Show the Spurs community some love, all right? Everyone's out there with their different opinions, but at the same time, everyone works together and keeps you entertained. So smash that like button, smash the subscribe button. I'm going to put it in the chat, the link to my channel. You don't have to leave. You just click this button and press subscribe. So thank you very much. I was going to say, isn't this the perfect time to sell him? And what I mean by that is new era, new philosophy, new manager. At least then, if he does go, you can turn around and go, right, complete fresh start. None of this, that manager was good because he had Kane, or that manager relied on Kane, or this formation needs to revolve around Kane. We can then start forging a new era, Alan, a new path of how we want to be as a football club.
Look, you absolutely can do that. And I've said this before on my channel, the fact that you need to be able to go, okay, new identity, stuff like that. If there's people that don't want to be there, complete fresh start them out. But I know exactly what Spurs fans are like. They'll now caveat and go, well, Son, because Son's still there, it's not fresh anymore. Or he had Son, that's the reason why, and stuff like that. I'm just like, people always find a way to make it like bring up a point or two. But yeah, for me, I'm one of these people, thanks for everything you've done, Kane. You've done everything you can. There may be an asterisk against him in regards to in a big game, he never basically gave a captain or a leader's performance or I want to win a trophy performance. So there's always that little asterisk against him because he didn't do it. But yeah, it's time to sort out the team. And yeah, in regards to the whole Bayern thing, you seen that meme of the guy walking with a girl and he's looking back. He's with Bayern. On the 3-6 months down the line, he's looking back because there's going to be Chelsea or Man United behind him. Is it the girl he's looking back at is really fit and his missus isn't? Yeah. Oh, I want that. I don't want this. Look, listen, I agree that there is always going to be that little asterisk against him. But still, I mean, some of the comments that I see, I just can't agree with. Like Claude saying Kane does not want to go Germany. First and foremost, I don't think we should make absolutes. I mean, we don't know that, right? Yeah. Let's be brutally honest. As I said just now to Danny, Claude, if Kane didn't want to go to Germany, these talks would have never have begun, right? Because his people, it's the same with any transfer. You don't just ring up the club and go, we want to buy a player. The agents are going to start you're going to speak to the agent and go, hey, we want Harry. Does he want to come to us if we start bidding? What do you think the club's reaction will be? There's no way. There is no way that he's saying, I definitely don't want to go Germany and it's got this far. And then the next one I saw was,
it's the age-old he wants Shearer's record. But, Danny, is Shearer's record... I mean, this thing seems to be so talked about, but is Shearer's record more important than going playing for one of the world's best clubs and winning trophies and competing for Champions Leagues?
No. I mean, it's probably definitely important to him. I mean, I'm not saying it's more important to him, but it's definitely important to him because he's been trying to get to that record as close to it for all these years in the Premier League. I don't think it's the make or break for his decision. Whatever he decides to do. But I still have this feeling. I've always had this feeling in the back of my mind, right? Whether he stays or goes, that I think for him it would feel more. He'd feel more driven by his decision to stay in the Premier League, right? If he can, because I think for him, if he can go and say win a Premier League or trying to compete to win a Premier League and potentially a Champions League with an English team and win an FA Cup, I think that's more meaning to him than going to Bayern Munich, which is definitely going to be guaranteed trophies, right? Let's be honest, right? But I think what the aim for Bayern is to have him there to try and compete to win the Champions League, right? Which obviously is a massive thing. And if you can win a Champions League with Bayern Munich, it's unbelievable. And they definitely have the credentials to go and do it. I just feel there's just something in me that just feels that Kane would rather, if he could, then he would like to stay and do it and win something in England. Because I think as an England captain, growing up in England, playing for Tottenham for all these years, I think winning an FA Cup to him, I think would mean even more than winning a German League Cup or a German Cup, something like that. If you get my drift, right? I think it's more meaning to him winning in England than it is to winning in Germany, because he will win in Germany if he goes to Germany. If he goes to England, it would probably be a team that's definitely have a lot more, let's just say, they have a lot more potential to go and win a trophy than we do, right? Mm-hmm. Like a Liverpool, like a Man United. Maybe, just maybe, Man City as well. We don't know. Like, that is still a possibility. It's not, I wouldn't rule it out.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's interesting. Lots of people saying it's James Ollie that said, I've just gone on. Yeah, James Ollie said 120 million euros all in. I've seen, which, if I'm going to just quickly, what's 120 million euros in GBP?
120 million euros equals 103 million.
There you go, 103 million all in. I mean, it's a lot of money.
If that's the number, Sav, and they accept it, then it maybe looks like that he will go, right?
Let's be honest, Danny. Yeah. Let's be honest. Everything's the magic number, right? Yeah. When you want to sell your house, when you want to buy anything, you have a number, right? Yeah. I just feel like that money, and Spurs fans are going to hate me saying this, I would rather at this stage, you know, one of those things you think, God, I'm going to get ripped a new one in the chat. At this stage, if Kane is not signing a new contract, I would rather he goes out the door, we get done with this now, you go and bring in a tap sober, who, let's be fair, that allows you to turn around and go, you want 50 million? Boom. You've then still got 50 odd million to go and buy. Lots of people are talking about like Gift Orban, for example. Yeah. You've got Veliz.
Reports coming out saying that he's 20 to 30 million today. 20 to
30 million, right. So if you can go and get, and I know there's a bit of football manager here, and I hate it when people do this, but I'm going to do it. If you, shameless FC. Sean's got me into saying all this shameless stuff, right? I'm blaming Sean Butler on Spurs Talk Show. Big up, Sean. If you've got 50 odd million that you're spending on tap sober, 30 million that you're spending on Gift Orban, and then you're going and buying a number 6, for example, for 25, 30 million. All of that for Harry Kane money, for me, with Veliz, with Vandeven as well, Maddison, the new goalkeeper, Solomon, I think that is much better for the club to move forward than having just Harry Kane, if that makes sense. Alan, do you see where I'm going with that?
I know, look, I completely see where you're going with that, but the only caveat to that I would say is this is Spurs. So we'd probably sell him.
Yeah.
The only caveat is we're Spurs.
We'd probably get the money and we'd give one of them people, like, or maybe you get another defender in and it'll be like, oh, we'll see where we are in January and all that. So look, if 103 million is what it is and you can reinvest and get the tap sober, like the Orban, Veliz, and the number 6, for me, I've said, and I will stick by this, I think too many all at once can create more problems. So I'm happy for the
Sure.
defenders as long as these others come in January and in the start in the next summer transfer window. But yeah, for me, it's one of them things where let's look when we last had a big summer a big signing go out. Bale, we spent and we got all these players in, and it was just awful. They didn't do the thing. The only good one we got out of that was Ericsson, who actually elevated the squad. So I just don't. You know, we always say that.
Isn't there an argument, Alan? Isn't there an argument though? Sorry to interject. That yes, too many players at once can disrupt things. However, is there a lot to disrupt from last year? Like, if you really look at it, isn't now the perfect time to say, okay, we're going to bring in 7 or 8 players. They're all going to go. Most of them are going to go straight into that first team, and you build and grow. And year one, you don't have expectations. Year one, you just say, right, get unite, bond, form partnerships and relationships. Year two, right, now we want to start seeing a bit more in Champions League football and stuff like that. Yeah. Isn't this the right time to do that?
Well, no, look, I completely agree it does. But whereas I'm going to give Ange, unless things go catastrophically wrong and literally we are 20th and like struggling in March and it looks like we're getting ready, then obviously you have the conversation. But I don't think it's going to happen like that. But I would give Ange the first full season like that. But you will get Spurs fans that by October, if we're sitting about 8th or 10th, people go, get him out of the club, this ain't ever. And it will be the same old story with Spurs fans. I think this is the perfect time to do it. But in regards to the new signings, obviously you've got Vandeven now coming in, Vicario. If you have another new defender there, do they go in at number 6? That's the core base of the spine of the team.
Yeah.
So many people in, and it's so late. If we had got these bits done early on, then they would have had all pre-season, game time and all that under Ange. But because it's so late, I fear that if you put all those into a new team going into the start of the season, and we have bad results, it just means certain people in his fan base are just going to go straight after Ange, and it's not his fault, it's not the player's fault. But I think that's the way some Spurs fans will move if things get off to a bad start, if we change all of that and more.
Yeah. I mean, look, it's definitely interesting. I mean, look, let's pivot back just for the moment to Vandeven coming in, Danny. Obviously, the talk will naturally. I took it there to tap Savva if Kane leaves. Go for it.
I was just going to say one thing, just to finish off on the Kane thing.
Go on.
Like with the offer, I've heard things like this 20 million euro add-ons is going to be they're quite hard like add-ons to hit sort of thing, like winning the Champions League, you get an X amount and stuff like that. So
right,
it depends on whether Daniel Levy and the club feel that that's acceptable enough for them. Because for me, I still think it's 100 million straight up. That's what I feel the club want. I was told, like Savva, I told you this before, right? 6 months ago, I think, even 5-6 months ago, I was told that was the number for Harry Kane to leave. 100 million for whoever wanted him. If it was outside of Europe, 100 million, right? And I still think even now that hasn't changed. I still think it has to be 100 million. If it's 100 million euros plus 20 million add-ons, which takes it to 103. If you say you've got 10 million for winning the Champions League, that's 10 million pounds that might not come into the club because they might not do it. So that's not a guarantee that they're going to get those add-ons. And that's
of course.
That's where the balance comes between whether or not they think the 100 million euros is enough for what they want as acceptable enough for Levy. And I still don't think it is. But look, we could be wrong, and we could be sitting here next week with Harry Kane holding up a Bayern Munich shirt with a Stein in his hand and a Bratwurst sausage as well. And you never know. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Guys and girls, 864 of you in this chat. Smash the like button, people, to be guaranteed to have your message read out. Put it in a super chat. If not, I'll get to as many. I'll always bring them up on the screen, but I'll get to as many as possible. And keep subscribing. We're only 21 away from the 8,500, which is mental because I only hit 8,000 4 days ago. So it's all going a little bit bananas during transfer season. Yeah, look, I get that. Daniel Levy wants the cold, hard cash. I understand that. But what would Daniel Levy do if he was the chairman buying this player? It would never be like that, would it? Vandeven coming in, Alan. Is it enough? Vandeven, at the moment, you would probably say go straight in alongside Romero in a back four.
Yeah.
Is that enough to take us from a club that concedes 63 goals to closer to 40, which is where we should be, right? I know no one wants to concede goals, but closer to the 40, 45 mark. Is he enough on his own?
It just depends on how quick, like the Vandeven Romero partnership, because that you would assume that's what it's going to be, how that would sort itself out. But obviously, this is a massive caveat. Suppose early in the season one of them gets injured, then you go straight back to having people that aren't good enough come into that defense. So it could be enough in regards to the partnership they make, but if one of them get injured and the rest come in, I see it being the same old story as Spurs. That's why you need like a Tapsoba or a Tosin or somebody of higher quality that will be there to come in and fill the gap, because we can't have the likes of Dyer, Sanchez, Davies. All these people are still at this club. Another thing, obviously, although this is good and we're getting players in, how is it still we've got to this point and Harry Winks is the only person that's left this club? It's absolutely embarrassing. We can't continue to have, when a top player gets injured, the reason why certain clubs always challenge for stuff is they've got quality to come in and replace. We've never had that. We've had the odd occasional time where we've had 12 or 13 in the squad that's been like good, and then the rest have been all pretty much basically crap. So we need top quality. So we need more to come in to assure that we can continue, if injuries happen, all that, to maintain you keep getting the goal difference down rather than it just creeping back up like it did last season.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm just seeing a debate between two people in the chat, which I'm really enjoying as well while I'm listening to you guys. Matt, I get it. Matt, you're listen, I know what you're saying. I've been reading your comments that, there is just no way at all that we can sell Harry Kane. But listen, when you say I'm always talking about big club philosophy, big clubs lose their big players every year and move on. If anything, at the moment, isn't it your philosophy that we can't lose him under any circumstances? Isn't that not the big club philosophy? Man City have just lost Riyad Mahrez and Gundogan in one window, right? Can you imagine
potentially
Spurs?
Bernardo Silva as well.
Potentially Bernardo Silva, potentially Walker. And you've got Pep Guardiola sitting there. I don't know if anyone's seen his press conference today. He literally sat there and went, if players want to leave because they want a new challenge, I'm not the guy to say, no. Yes, go. But at the same time, clubs have to come in with a reasonable offer. Bernardo Silva, for example, his contract doesn't run out for another 2 years. So if anyone thinks they're going to come in and take, for me, what is one of the best players in the Premier League in Bernardo Silva, you're not doing it for 30, 40 million. So, look, clubs lose their players. Yeah. Bigger clubs than us have lost bigger players than Kane, right? That's Arsenal lost Henry. Yeah, Man United. Man United, look at the list of players they've lost over the years. It is what it is. But Alan, you're spot on about all the Micky Vandeven stuff. Danny, it's crazy, isn't it? It's a great thing that Micky Vandeven has signed. You touched on it earlier about his age. But again, one injury to him, and we're back to Romero and Dyer or Romero and Davis. Yeah. One injury to Romero, and
I don't even want to think of it, Sam. It makes me sick.
But Christian Romero gets himself suspended. He does. Yep. He seems to pick up these niggling injuries always just before Argentina are about to play a couple of games. Sure. Right? So we've got to get another. I'm not being greedy, but this is what big clubs do. You celebrate the moment.
We need another one.
Right? We do, don't we? Right?
We cannot. Like, regardless of what happens with Kane, we need another centre back. It's a no-brainer. I think this will be a extremely disappointing window, whatever happens with Kane, if another centre back has not come into this club. Because, like you said, Vandeven is great, but when was the last time we signed a centre back? Right, Romero. When was that? 2019? Was it 2020? 2021, wasn't it?
2021 we signed
2021.
Romero.
2021. 2 years. We've only signed one centre back. Well, since Vertonghen, let's put it into perspective. Since Vertonghen and Alderweireld, we've only signed Rodon and Romero. That is appalling. That is literally disgusting.
And Davinson Sanchez, right?
No, since Davinson Sanchez was there when Poch was there.
I see what I mean.
Since they retired, since they kind of like went away from Spurs.
Because did you see what Ben and Sim posted out from We Are Tottenham TV? Big up Ben and Sim. They posted out about a week ago, and it was the last 8 summers. It showed literally since 8 summers ago was when we signed Toby Alderweireld. It showed the 3 centre backs we've signed since then on a perm have been Sanchez, Rodon, Romero. And it's like, how does anyone operate like this?
I think
Madness,
I think I did see something similar where someone posted about the same thing, but all the top 6 clubs or something like this, and they showed like all the top 6 clubs centre back signings have been since a particular year or 2017 or something like that. And I think I saw something similar where it was like Davinson Sanchez, Romero, and Rodon. Everyone else has signed like 7, 8, 9 defenders.
Yeah. Chelsea had like 15 centre halves. Man United had 8. You know, it was just like, it is concerning though, isn't it? Look, you know, I really like Micky Vandeven. What I've seen of him last year in the Bundesliga, the videos I've seen of him as well, I think this guy's going to be a really good player. Yeah. He has got the Jan Vertonghen vibes about him. I've seen a lot of interviews that you have to go and find them, but I've the interview. Well. He seems really level-headed. He was talking about his positives and his negatives, right? And I like that. He was like, I need to do better at this, but I'm very quick. You know, I like to play on the ball, and he's a leader. So I love that. But straight away, Alan, he's coming into this team, whether it's against Barcelona or whether it's against Brentford in the first game, the pressure on this lad's shoulders, because we've all been waiting this many weeks, and because at the moment he's the only one, is going to be huge, isn't it? Yeah.
It is going to be massive. And it's going to come from the fan base who literally, I mean, you're going to get fans that have wanted like the poor and stuff like that. Obviously, ideal word, I would have wanted a name like that, but it's not going to happen. But people are now going to go, well, this is who the manager picked. This is who he wanted. And then it's a caveat to go after him, go after Vandeven if things don't happen. This is a new system, a new team, and it's that close to the start of the week. Like, isn't the Charity Shield this weekend and the start of the week next weekend? So we're 7-8 days. By the time he gets into this team, I don't even think he'll start in the first. He might start.
I agree.
But it could be a touch and go where he is on the bench. So a youngster coming to a new league with a new philosophy, a new way of playing, everything like that, with a new partner, with Romero, it's going to take time. It's going to be a lot of pressure, but people can't go after him. If I see Spurs fans literally start saying, oh, well, this is who we wanted, he's not good enough, saying, well, Olivia, look, I despise the owners as much as you do, but you've got to take into consideration everything that's happened to get to this point. If we had signed him at the start of the window, I'd be a lot more confident going into the window that people wouldn't get on his back, because I think he would have adapted. But because it hasn't, and it's going to be thrown in right at the end, I think fans will be typical Spurs fans and go after him. We've got to, as a fan base, got to just let him get time to get into the team, get adjusted to how Ange wants him to play, and I think you'll see a very good player and a great signing in the years to come. But we just have to not judge him based on this. Like 7 days away from the Premier League, you can't judge him on that.
Look, it is interesting. I mean, just quickly on this point, when we're saying the sad realities with Spurs and we won't, 100 million won't be spent to reinvest in the team this season. I think it will be. I think the question you're looking at is, will it be spent well? I think, listen, I think this belief that I hate him, everyone knows that, this belief that Levy doesn't spend is wrong. He spends. It's just that there's no plan and we just seem to buy willy-nilly. But Ange has got Maddison, who he wanted. He said it. I wanted James Maddison. We know he wanted Vandeven. He's got Vandeven. Clearly he wants Tapsoba. So if we spent that money on Tapsoba as well, these are players that clearly this manager has asked for.
He also asked for Vicario, didn't he? He also said
apparently so. Yeah. Yeah. Apparently so. I mean, when we look at the defence situation, is there a possibility that you bring in another centre-back, guys, and then Vandeven plays left-back with...
of course.
With let's just say a Tapsoba and Romero as your centre-halves. Is there that possibility as well?
Of course.
Buying a player like that?
Yeah, I think that's the beauty of having someone like Vandeven. He's a versatile player, right? And I think if you play the system that Ange likes to play... then I think he could also be utilised as that left back or that kind of fullback type of role, or inverted fullback, whatever you want to call it. And I think he'd do a good job in that role as well. I think he's done that he played at left back a bit for Wolfsburg as well. So I think there's no reason why he couldn't do it for Tottenham. And I think you need, I think the way the modern day players are like, a lot of the kind of new generation of players, a lot of them are quite versatile. The kind of really good prospects. Like I'll give you an example, like Jurian Timber, right? He can play centre back, right back, and in the midfield, right? He's very versatile. He's good, good young player. Again, a young player who needs to grow. He's still got mistakes in his game, just like Vandeven will have. Vandeven will have. Of course,
yeah.
So I think it's going to be a good learning curve, and I think someone like Ange is the perfect manager for someone like him to learn from, right? And I think we need more players like that. We need a bit more versatility because, let's be honest, we're not going to go out and buy like Vandeven ilk players for every position we need in the team. It's just not the way Tottenham do business.
Yeah, sure.
So I think we need players like that who are versatile, and I think it's definitely gives us the benefit and of having that availability.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, I'll come to you in 1 second, mate. I've got to get some super chats before I start getting you've missed super chats that we never miss. But by the way, guys and girls, come on. There's 815 of you in this room and still only 387 likes. Come on, man. This should be at 500 minimum. Thank you to everyone that subscribed. We're 14 away from our target for today. If 14 of you that haven't subscribed could just go over there and press that button, I'd be eternally grateful. Super chats. So we've done that one. We've done that one. Ian JD has said, time to rip the bandage off with Kane, I feel. Yeah, it's going to be like that, a moment like that for a lot of fans. I agree with you, Ian. So thank you so much for your super chats. Much appreciated. Whoever this bloke is has said, big up
Port Scratchins TV. Port Scratchins TV.
Did you see what someone called him yesterday?
Porchy or something, right?
Porchy.
Porchy.
Yeah. Porchy.
That's my new name for him now.
Oh, Porchy. Go and subscribe to the Porchy TV. I said, we have to accept this bid and move forward. Fans who want Levy to reject this bid will then blame Levy if he goes on a free to a competitive rival. And I think that's right. I do think that's right. Anyone who's saying now, don't sell him for that money. Anyone who's saying now, don't sell him. Remember that when he walks on a free. Remember those feelings.
I just put my opinion right now?
Go for it.
If I'm one of these fans that I would rather see him. Look, I'd love to see the money come in, and obviously, I just feel that it won't. I just feel that he's going to stay one more season and go to, let's just say, a rival, right? If we can even call it a rival, because I think our rivals are more like Aston Villa and Brighton, let alone
Villa and Brighton, and
let alone Man United and Man City. Yeah, I don't think they're really our rivals, but anyway, that's another debate. I think for me, if he does go to a rival, fair enough, right? That it's up to him. It's his life, and but you are right, Sam. Fans will, and I'm not saying myself, but fans will blame Daniel Levy, right? For if he does go to, just say, for example, he goes to Chelsea, right? They're going to blame him. They're going to say, oh, it's his fault. But it's you could say there is partially a blame on Daniel Levy for that, because if Harry Kane had the squad that he felt was competent enough for him to stay and for him to do what he wants to do at the club, then yes, you can say it's partially the owner's fault, right? For not giving him the squad he desired. But look, we have to wait and see what happens. And I personally think he's going to go to, like you said, Sav, for me, I've just got it in my head as Barcelona, Madrid, or Man United next season. That's how I see it.
That's how I see it as well. That's how I see it. And by the way, but when people are saying, and I will come to the next super chats, but when people are saying, oh, I don't want Levy getting any money, I think that's so short-sighted. I truly think, take your emotion away from it. It's still still a business, right?
Do you know what? Part of me, Sav, does feel like that.
I know you. I could tell. I could tell in your face. I could tell.
Part of it would love to see the look on Levy's face.
Up yours, you know Levy.
Yeah, it's like F you, Levy. Yeah, you bold, whatever.
Just quickly, Kaylee Davis, big up Kaylee, who's also a channel member. If anyone else would like to be a channel member, then please feel free to do that. There will be channel member only shows from next week as well. I said predictions on when we can stop obsessing on Kane. Look, do you know what? I think this is a really good point. As a YouTuber, I'm very guilty of obsessing on Kane because he's the biggest story at Tottenham Hotspur. He's one of the biggest stories in the transfer window this year. One of my worries, guys, and we'll pick this up when I've done the other super chats. So, but remember this, right? I'll give you some time to formulate some answers. One of the worries for me is if Kane does stay, we've then got this for the next year.
Yeah.
Willie, won't he? Willie, won't he? Willie, won't he? And I just feel like that's going to completely dominate. You know, if we have 3 or 4 bad games, oh, he's definitely not staying now. If we win 4 or 5 games and go top 4 for a few weeks, he's staying. He's going to really love this guy. It's going to be mental. So hold that thought. Thank you so much, Kaylee. Much appreciated. Daniel, with a massive super chat. Thank you, Daniel. Always a big supporter. I said, enjoying the chat amongst the panel. Sorry to go off topic, but the English Football League begins this weekend. Who do you guys think will win the championship? Sorry to put you on the spot. Big up, guys. Wow, that is. Who do you? I'm going to go. I think Leicester City. I think that they've still got a lot of players that were there last year. Connor Cody's a wonderful signing in that league. Yep. Winks is a good signing for that league. Yep. And they're getting that lad on loan from. He is in that league, Alan, isn't he?
That league.
He is in that league, right?
That league,
surely.
Yeah. That league. No, lower than.
And they've also today I saw that they're trying to get that Cassidy from Chelsea who's on loan. He's a player. So I'm going to go with the easy answer of Leicester City. Sorry.
Yeah, same for me. I think I know they've lost some key players in Maddison and Barnes. But if you look at the actual who they've still got there, they've still got Inacio there. They've still got Patson Daka there. They've still got some really good players who are still there. And
Daka and Iheanacho, I would fancy that. I would fancy Iheanacho to be one of the top 3 goal scorers, injuries permitting.
Yeah. And I think they've got quite a lot still. And like you said, if they get that player from Chelsea on loan, then you're thinking they've got a strong enough squad to really go and win that league, really. That's for me. I'm going to, again, go for the easy option. But football doesn't work like that because last season, Arsenal, no one thought they would be in a title race last season, and they were. So we just don't know what's going to happen.
I mean, Alan, are you going to chuck anyone else into the hat? You've got Norwich City. Yeah. There's some big clubs down there. You've got Southampton, of course, that have gone down. Leeds United.
I was going to say Leicester, but it'd be quite boring. So I'm going to opt for Southampton just because they came down last season, because you guys took my pick as well. So
yeah, listen, I don't think Southampton are a bad team. I just don't think Southampton are goal scorers. I think in that level you could see them. I think they could become that yo-yo club. But hey, listen, thanks for the super chat.
Very quickly, I think Leicester. I think losing both Maddison and Barnes could be a huge factor for them. So that's the only thing I would say why I would say Southampton would probably have a shout at winning it as well. But Leicester obviously are everyone's favourites, I think. But
yeah, I think they'll probably be the favourites. Soundboy has said if Kane gets sold, the person who benefits the most would be Ange, right? Doesn't this buy him time with impatient fans, right? I mean, yes, I actually agree with that. I think if Kane does get sold, then suddenly people go, okay, well, feel sorry for the manager. I actually think that Ange won't bat an eyelid. I think if Harry Kane goes, I think behind closed doors, I don't think he'll care. I think that this is a man he's not used to having a Harry Kane. Right? Wherever he's managed, he hasn't had a striker to the ilk of Harry Kane, and he makes it work. So I don't think that would be too bad. Tyree Bennett has said, big up, fellas. Great panel. Come on, you Spurs. Big up to you as well, Tyree. Thank you so much. And Tony rounds off the super chats by saying Veliz is going to smash the Prem. We're going to talk about him in a minute. Guys and girls, let me start with you, Danny. What I was just saying there about this being, if he stays but no contract is signed, about does this derail us in terms of this is going to be the conversation everyone's going to talk about every month whilst it gets closer to him being able to leave on a free?
Yeah, it's not going to stop. The stories won't stop until something happens, whether he signs a new contract, he signs a pre-agreement with a European club in January, which I don't think will happen. But I don't know if it will derail us. Maybe. It's hard to say because we don't know how Andrew's going to perform this season and how he kind of galvanizes the squad. It all depends. For me, it's more about how the squad take it. I think that's the most important thing, because if within the squad, Harry Kane's there and he's not really giving it away to the players, right, what he's going to do. But you could look at it from the flip side and think that he's going to be as professional as possible. He's going to be as the best Kane he can be, right? And he's going to help the team no matter what, regardless of what happens, right?
Yeah.
Then then I don't think it's going to be too much of a problem if he buys into what Ange wants, what he wants him to do, and what he wants the team to do this season. Like, I put it in the private chat earlier, but Carver Solihull from Sky Sports was saying that Kane is happy with the manager and he'll have no problem staying, and he actually looks forward to it as well. But it doesn't mean that he won't sign a new contract this season, or doesn't necessarily mean that if Tottenham do accept the offer, that it would be a new challenge that he would accept. So it's one of those things where I think for him, he is probably looking at it thinking it doesn't really matter whether I go or not. So it's like, because like we said earlier, he knows what the deal is next summer. I think everyone knows what the deal is next summer. I don't think it. Yeah, I just don't think it will derail it as much as people think. Like there will be a lot more. There'll be a lot more news around it. The media are gonna absolutely have a field day of it. It could be the only thing it could derail. Right? Is that? Well, then again, no. I'll put it into perspective. Right? I was gonna say the only thing it could derail is if we are not doing well every game. Then maybe in the press conference they're going to keep asking, "Oh, what's happening with Harry Kane? What's the latest?" But then again, maybe not. I don't know. It's so hard. Do you know what, Sav? I'll be honest. It's so effing hard to see how it can affect us this season, because we've never been in a situation where our talisman has been at this club where he could potentially be leaving next summer for free.
I mean, look, Alan, the interesting thing about this as well is I think, first of all, I think everyone's bored of it, right? I think everyone's bored of this kind of willy won't he situation. But I look back to, look, I'm probably a bit older than you boys. I've seen a lot of, you've seen most of them, but I've seen a lot of players go. I've seen Hoddle leave, Waddle leave, Lineker, Gaza, Sheringham twice, Modric, Bale, Berbatov, Carrick. You know, we've seen a lot of players that are top quality go and win everything everywhere else. Kyle Walker being another one. I posed this the other day, and hear me out on this, right? This reminds me of this situation a little bit of Berbatov. And what I mean by that is when we lost Berbatov, and everyone always just talks about Berbatov, but if they remember, in that same window, we actually lost Robbie Keane in the same window. We lost the entire strike force. And Fraser Campbell joined us on the last day. Remember, that was, just shocking, right? But, we started that season badly, Alan, right? We had 8 games. We took 2 points, and it was terrible. But then Harry Redknapp came in, who for me is a bit Ange Postecoglou-like in terms of a man manager, lets the players go out there and express themselves. Didn't play with superstars. He went and bought Jermaine Defoe, who, I'm not saying Jermaine Defoe wasn't quality, but he went and bought Jermaine Defoe. He went and bought veteran Chorluka, Wilson Palacios, the Scott Parkers, Cranchars, shifted Modric from left wing to centre mid, Bale from left back to left wing. And that saw Spurs go like that. Yeah, we finished 8th after being bottom. Then the next year was 4th. Then the next year was 5th. The next year was 4th. And that started Spurs actually being a good team, right? Because before Modric and Bale were superstars, they weren't, if that makes sense. I think this could be similar. And I know people will say that's crazy, but I truly believe if Kane does go, we will be like that, where it's a united team. It's everybody pulling together, everybody realising, Harry's not here to dig us out of losing 1-0. Right, where are the goals coming from? I went on a bit, but do you see my point?
No, look, I completely understand that. I mean, I think like people go to, without Kane's goals, we'd got relegated, this and the other. But I think players can look at Harry Kane on the pitch and be like, he'll dig us out of a hole. But I think it will now make players go, I need to be accounted for. I need to stand up and take care of my own game, and I need to add to the team. But I'll just go with a little. I disagree to a point with what Danny says in regards to the whole Harry
controversy.
We saw back under Nuno when Kane wanted to go Man City and the whole thing. That created a lot of unrest. Obviously, everyone asking about Kane. The team was playing bad, and people weren't invested in Nuno. And you had all of that happening. It led to the manager get sacked. Now, I don't think that's going to happen with Ange, because I think Ange is completely different to Nuno. It's not negative tactics, it's stuff like that. But with somebody who doesn't want to be there, who wants to move on, who we stop from moving on, can still have that negative effect, because in every press conference is going to be, oh, what about Harry Kane? You know, is his future set? And players who are going to be wanting to get on and show what I can do for the manager, supposing we continue to play Harry Kane and Richarlison's like, well, what about me? I want to be here. I want to do this. And I'm not getting a chance. Or the youngster coming in, like if he doesn't get his chance because of stuff like that, it's just going to create unrest. And for me, I think it's one of them where you have to get him out if he wants to go to stop stuff like that.
But do you know what, Alan? Do you know
people? I think you really do.
Do you know what? That's the key thing, though. The key thing that people keep assuming is the fact that he said that he wants to leave, he hasn't actually directly said, I want to leave the club, right? Where everyone's assuming because of what's going on with the transfer news. But there's no, from what some of the reporters are saying, and multiple reporters are saying it, that he's happy to stay and he's looking forward to playing under Ange if he does stay. And that to me doesn't tell me that's a player that wants to directly leave the club. It tells me that if the club say, yes, you can go, right, then it might, in his mind, he's like, okay, let me discuss this opportunity of Bayern and see if I actually really want to go there or not.
That's already happened, Danny. Let's not be. I know we want to have that hope. Is if anybody in here, you, Alan, me, everyone in the chat. By the way, smash the like buttons. 5 subscribers away from 8,500. If anyone in here thinks that has not taken place with Bayern Munich already, you're crazy. Harry Kane will have told them he will go. They would personal terms.
If the club accept an offer, he would. Yeah.
But there's no way that Daniel Levy goes, all right, I'll accept the bid. Go on, talk to Harry, and then they go, right, Harry, here's why we think you should join, and here's the salary. That will all be done. You watch if they accept, and this is going to be the fun for the next 24, 48 hours, isn't it? If he accepts. Watch how quickly that deal was done. If he accepts, there's going to be no messing about with, oh well, Kane wants 400k. They're only going to give him 300k a week. That'll be done, right?
Yeah. No, look, it will. If it happens tonight, where they go, okay, we agree with the terms and all that. By Monday morning, he's in the Bayern Munich shirt, and he's like being presented. For me, everything else is done, and I just don't see it. The fact that people say, well, he hasn't come out and said that he wants to leave. But if he's sitting there basically saying that, oh, well, I'm looking forward to the next season. But if this is all true, then how are Bayern talking to him? How are we at this point where they're actually meeting for dinner to talk about the whole situation? I think Harry Kane's like, I'm open to leaving. If they come in the right amount, then let me go, like he did with Gary. And I think that's what's happened. And now it's up to them whether they believe that that's the right amount to give Harry Kane. All in 103 million with 1 year left to go on his contract. That's the right deal. Let him go.
But you say that, but like I said, it might not be the right deal for Levy, because Levy said, from what I was told, Levy has always wanted 100 million, right? If it's 103 million, including the add-ons, right, that might not be enough. Like I said, it could be that in the add-ons could be 10 million euros to win the Champions League. That's guaranteed. We're not getting that. Like, there's no guarantees we're getting that. So for me, Levy wants guarantees. That's the type of person he is. He wants, like, look, the thing is, it's very different selling someone like Eriksen with 6 months left to go than selling Harry Kane, because Harry Kane is look how important he is to Tottenham, right? Oh, and what he's done and his feelings towards the club is very different to someone like Eriksen who came as a foreign player. Harry Kane's grown up through the ranks at Spurs, gone all the way to the heights that he's got to. So it's a very different emotion for him to go and leave. So it's not an easy decision for him to leave. But for him, it's like, if the club accept it, then that's like the club saying you're free to go kind of thing. And I think that's where his mindset's like, okay, maybe I will take this challenge now and I'll sign the contract with Bayern. But I personally still can't see Bayern getting Kane this summer. I still can't see it. I'll be shocked if Levy accepts the deal.
Like, I can't let go. You ever seen that film? He's just not that into you. Well, she's not that into you. Just let go.
Just quickly.
Daniel Levy's like.
I do love it when people don't understand context. Yeah, David Pleat bought Jermaine Defoe the first time around. I'm not sure if anyone remembers that Jermaine Defoe signed for us twice, and Harry Redknapp signed him the second time. So don't try and teach me my Spurs history. It's all up there, all right? Look, it's certainly going to be interesting. And I think, Danny, you hit on a good point, right, is Kane's not said anything. You do get some of these transfers where you see a player saying things and you go, I can't believe you've just said that so brazenly. Like Skamaka. I know it's a different level, but Skamaka was just like, yeah, I'd love to go and play for Inter Milan.
Yeah.
You're like, hang on, what do you mean?
Yeah.
Like, hang on.
Yeah.
You play for West Ham. Like,
Yeah.
of course you'd like to go from West Ham to Inter Milan. But
Yeah.
he hasn't said anything. But I've maintained this whole summer, I don't think there's anything he can say that won't get taken the wrong way. I truly believe.
That's probably why he hasn't said a word, Sav. That's why.
Absolutely. If he comes out and says, I do not want to go to Bayern, yeah? I do not want to go to Bayern at all. That's the only thing I think he could have said because they're German, right?
Yeah.
Not he wants to go there because nothing against the Germans, but because it's in the German league, he could have turned around and said, I don't want to go to Bayern. I don't want to go and live in Germany. It's not the right time or place for me at the moment. Right? That's the only thing I think he could have said to shut down the Bayern rumours. But he hasn't, which tells me that I think he would go there.
He's open to it, yeah.
But if he had come out and said, I am not leaving Spurs this window, and then a few weeks later, someone like Real Madrid come in and whacked 125 million pounds on the table,
That's exactly why.
He looks awful, right?
Yeah.
He's now the bad guy.
Yeah.
If he had come out and said, I am definitely leaving, I am going to look for another club this window, and then Levy doesn't get the bid, now you've got a whole fan base that have seen, hang on, you don't want to be here. So
that's why he hasn't said anything.
I don't know what he's meant to have come out and said.
No,
but
nothing. And I think what he's done is probably like some fans would disagree with it, but I think what he's done is probably handled it the best way he possibly could. Because let's face it, his agent is an absolute moron, right? His brother is an absolute moron, so he's not going to give him the best advice of what to do. He just wants him to sign the deal with Bayern and get his agent fees. That's what he wants.
For sure.
So he's probably trying to push Kane as much as possible. But look, I just think that Kane's handled it the best way he could, because, like you said, it's a lose-lose situation for him if he opens his mouth, I think.
I agree with you.
So
let's move on from Kane then. Alan, somebody else who got the here we go. This deal did come from absolutely nowhere. Is Veliz? I think it's Veliz.
Yeah.
Loads of people. It's funny. The first thing when it was broken, Henry messaged me and went, "Watch all the Argentinian football experts jump out of YouTube." You know, like going, "Yeah, I watch Rosario Central every week."
Yeah.
I'd never heard of the guy.
No.
It was welcome. Before we go into him as a player, it was really welcome, Alan, because I've always said I want us to do business like this. I want us to suddenly go, we're signing that player like Brighton do, like Brentford do, etc. What's your initial thoughts on Spurs signing him? And if it was down to you, I'll come to you as well after this on the same subject, Danny. Would you have him in the first team squad this year, Alan, or would you be sending him back to Rosario Central for 6 months to keep playing? What would you do?
If I'm being honest, obviously, I'll be honest, I hadn't heard of him before. I've had to watch him, obviously, because like YouTube, we have to watch him and give our opinion.
Yeah, of course.
I think he's a star in the making. Obviously, he's only 19, so I don't want to overhype him, but he's got loads of attributes that are good. Like he's aerial prowess is good. He's got great finishing. You know, he can also link up play. So he seems to have got everything about it. Bringing him across, look, I think we've done enough to have enough versatility up front. So I think the option there to send him back would be all right for 6 months. Because I think when you got Kulu, you got the option of Porro on the wing, Udogie, Son, Solomon, Maddison. If you keep a Lo Celso or an Ndebele, you've got Richarlison if Kane stays. So
and he's gone. Like, we're ruining the show now.
I think you're good in that. So I personally would say I'd like to keep him, but if they do send him back, I wouldn't be like, oh, well, we need him. We can't do stuff like that. I think somebody don't want to rush. He's got the ability, but some people sink or swim if you throw him into the deep end. And I think he would swim. But if there is an option to put him back in to Rosario, then I wouldn't be too, heartbroken about it, because we've got enough. It's not like the Udogie one where you quite clearly needed a left back last season and we should have had Udogie as an option. But for me, I think we've got enough option up front where you can give him back for 6 months and then bring him back into the team. But looks like a quality youngster, so I'm happy for it.
Interesting. By the way, sorry, I dropped out there on purpose. StreamYard's doing that thing again where it's not pulling through all the YouTube comments. It's telling me there's one person in the show, so I can only see comments in the in the back
end.
studio, right? So unfortunately, if I'm not bringing up comments, guys and girls, I'm not ignoring you. I can see them all. I've got no way of bringing them up. The only ones I can see at the moment are super chats. So Al Ben said, I'm so happy. I watched Vandeven bullying the strikers while Dyer and Sanchez gets bullied by even the smallest of centre forwards. I think that's one good thing. This guy is a bit of a physical specimen as well. So let's hope that he brings that into the Tottenham back line. So thank you so much for that, Al Ben. And then JG as well, very generous, has said, big up Savva. Just want to say thank you for keeping us all entertained with your content. You're the man. Listen, yeah, it's nice to hear nice things. Normally, I'm used to getting horrible messages. So thank you so much for that. And listen, I'm glad you enjoy the content. So thank you so much. That is really appreciated. If you enjoy the content like JG does, smash that like button. Subscribe, people. Subscribe. We are stuck on 8,498. 8498. Smash it. Come on. 2, 3, 4, 5. 20 of you go over and smash the subscribe button. Subscribe to Alan at Time Added On. Subscribe to, where is he? He's that way, isn't he? I can't, there. Subscribe to this guy at Tottenham on Tour. Yeah, I could have. Yeah. Anyway, and thank you everyone so far. We're going to go for about another half an hour, as long as Danny, you're good with that, and Alan's good with that. Danny, Veliz, obviously, I didn't know who he was, so I've had to go and watch him. I've had to watch as many videos as I can. I don't know. I'm sure you guys have as well. It looks like a bit of a throwback striker to me. Most forwards now seem quick and sharp and run the channels. This guy seems very much like he's in the box, good in the air, which has pros and cons. What do you make of him? What have you seen that you like or dislike or whatever?
I mean, Savva, obviously when I first heard of him, first saw the news, I never heard of him, right? So as we all do, we all go and use our absolutely unbelievable scouting ability by going and watching YouTube videos of him, right? So as we do, of course. So I obviously watched some of his highlights and stuff like that, and then started reading stuff on him and seeing other people's opinions. What I saw of him from the highlights, like I wasn't overly impressed with. Like I didn't see someone who like I thought was, wow, this kid is unbelievable. Like I'll give you an example. Like when I saw Julian Alvarez, right, and we saw when he was being linked to Tottenham and some other teams, when you looked at his compilation, you're like, wow, this kid is special. Like this kid is unbelievable, right? And you could see his ability, and he's taken it, and he's obviously helped Argentina win the World Cup. He's helped Man City last season win their treble. So he's a talent, right? With Veliz, when I saw him, right, he reminded me of like a Fernando Llorente when he was younger, right? Like because when Llorente was younger, he wasn't the quickest player, but he was a much better player in terms of his finishing ability. He was very good at his finishing. He was quite composed striker. He was good in the air. It was technically quite good and quite good a passer. He just reminds me like an Argentinian Fernando Llorente, but like a younger version of him. And that's kind of the mold of player I see him in. And when I started reading into him, right, and I read some articles, I read some threads on Twitter and stuff like that, and some of the people said one person on Twitter was saying that his actual heading ability is not that great. It's just, they were saying that from the YouTube, they actually mentioned in the thread, they were like, people watch the YouTube videos and they assume that because they've seen that he's good at heading. But if you actually watch his games, he has so many chances with his head, and he manages maybe to sometimes put one away. But a lot of the times he's not very good in the air. So that for me was a bit like, I'm not really sure now. And then obviously when I listened to the guy, I don't know if you guys have listened to it, but you know, when we are Tottenham TV, they had the reporter from Argentina that broke the news of the first news about Veliz. And he was saying that he's like a few levels down to Julian Alvarez, and that he's more like a Peter Crouch type of player than he is. When Ben Sim was saying to him, "Oh, we've seen reports that Messi's bigged him up, and we've seen reports that he's been likened to Suarez," and the guy was like, "No, not Suarez, more like," and he goes, he's more like, he's like, Alvarez was the golden boy, like in this era at the moment, in terms of Argentinian forwards, and he was like, Veliz is like a few levels down to Alvarez. He said that if I'm comparing him to anyone in England, he said Peter Crouch. so we might have the Argentinian Peter Crouch, but who's not as tall. But look, I think he doesn't look like he's an awful player. He looks like he's got good technical ability. He looks like he's competent in the air. I wouldn't say good, competent. He looks like he's got good technical ability. He looks like his passing range is quite decent. I think again with him, he's going to be one we're going to have to give some time, right, to really kind of adapt. Because the reporter was saying as well that he doesn't feel he's ready yet for Premier League football, even though he's physically quite like strong and he's quite he's got the attributes to play in the Premier League. He feels that maybe the next step for him would have been somewhere like the Portuguese league or someone like that to kind of for his next step, like as a higher.
But I'm guessing if Ange has said, hey, listen, I know this guy, I like this guy, or I've scouted this guy, or whatever, then I suppose, Alan, it's a good option. I mean, for years, I don't think we've had an out-and-out striker that you can bring off the bench. I mean, people are going to say Richarlison, but I mean an out-and-out poacher, like an out-and-out.
You know what, Sav?
Whip the ball in.
Yeah.
He might get his head, do you know what I mean?
Do you know what? It's funny you say that because I know I didn't mention this as well. I saw it in the comments just now. Someone mentioned it. And he did also say, big up Tony Rodriguez. He said it reminds me a little bit of like an old school Crespo, right? Where it's like an old school type of finisher, not like this amazing like a Aguero or a Tevez or someone like that. But when you look at his ability, right, and the way he plays, just by the videos, right, and then you look at he's gone again, and then you look at if you look at the way Ange wants to play and the way Ange played at Celtic last season, right, he loves to get the balls into the box for the striker to poach. If you look at the way what's the name of the Celtic forward, the Asian player,
Kyogo,
yeah.
Kyogo.
If you look at the way Kyogo played last season under Ange, I think he sees Veliz playing in that similar type of style where he's like that poacher, where they just drill balls into the box constantly. They're playing in and around that 18-yard box, and that's where he's probably quite, you could say maybe he's a deadly player, right? And maybe you don't need that type of Harry Kane type of player or someone like an Aguero who's this rapid demon who's just unbelievable to be that striker, because he will utilize the team behind him to give him the ball so he can put the ball in the back of net, which is essentially what striker's job is. So maybe for Ange's system, he probably suits it better than, say, other players might. And it's interesting because how many times, Sav, have we all been crying out for Spurs to go down a data-driven method of signing players? And this seems to me that it's a very, very data-driven way of signing a player based on what the manager wants. And from what I've seen, Gabardini, he looks good in terms of the players that he's scouted so far. And I think he's picking up the right profile players. And how many times have Spurs fans wanted us to go into like the South American market, right? And try and pick up like gems, right? Because how many Brighton do it? How many other clubs do it, right? So I think it's a good signing. And I think in terms of him being at Spurs now, I'm not sure, because I think the guy the journalist was mentioning that he might have a problem getting a visa, a work permit until December. So I think what they might do is loan him to, if it's not loaned back to Romario Central, then he'll go to maybe a European club, and we'll see what happens. But I've got a feeling that we won't see him until January.
Listen, don't ever talk about my other half on this stream, in whether it's a joke or not. You do not do that. That's your last warning. You do not do that at all. I'm not even joking.
Guys.
Sorry, Alan. I mean, look, it is difficult because when you sign a player that's so unknown, I'm seeing loads of people already now hyping this boy up to be,
Spurs fans,
amazing. Right. Yeah. We're hyping him up. I can't say I've seen 90 minutes of him. I can only say I've seen the videos. No. What have you made of him, Alan?
Yeah, so from what I've seen of him in the videos, because like you'll get people come on and go, "Oh, I knew about him and all that before his mum did," and all that. No, he didn't. Just be quiet. Just take it as it is. Look, he's got some good attributes about him. Obviously, from what I've seen, and obviously then Danny said that people reckon he's not as good in the air as it looks on the videos. He looks good in the air. He looks like he's powerful. He looks like he's got good finish on him. Like I said, he can hold up play. You know, he's one of them type of players. He's not a small or Richarlison where he's skinny and like pushing all that. He's different. He's built like he can hold the ball up. He likes a good old jostle, as the word used to be back in the day. But I think there's a lot of attributes there for him to develop. I just don't want, like you said, I don't want people going, oh, look, because I saw as soon as we got linked with him, I was like, I never heard of him. I looked on the socials and people were like, straight off the bat, oh, Messi, he's the next Messi. People were saying he's the next Messi. And I'm like, calm down. He's not develop. You know, we don't know what we've got until we see him in the Premier League. You can have all the ability in the world. We had Brian Hill. Everyone was waxing lyrical about Brian Hill. And it turns out that, okay, he's got ability, but he may not be built for the Premier League yet. Yeah. So you have to get that into his game. Not every whiz kid or gem from another league comes in and smashes it in the Premier League. Some great players who have come into the Premier League too late don't always adapt and stuff like that.
Didn't whiz kid smash it up the other night at Spurs? Sorry. I couldn't. Sorry, I thought about it for a second and thought I've got to mention whiz kid.
He did that. He made him a lot of money.
I bet he did. And the thing is, Alan, as well, when people start saying things like he's the next Messi, I mean, straight away you can see from one video. First of all, I'm not saying there is anyone like Messi, but there's no similarity in style of play or anything. As opposed to, for example, when people, I was on a show the other day actually with Haas, Marlon and Ashmatic for the South Coys. Big up to those lads. And Ashmatic did a really good piece on Vega out there in Spain. And you watched his video and you go, oh, you're different class. Like, you know, when he's only 19, 18, you go, yeah, you're going to be playing for Pep Guardiola soon. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
This guy, I kind of agree with Danny. From what I've seen, I think, okay, all right, cool.
Yeah.
But he's not going to be that guy, is he, that's going to be buzzing about everywhere, running channels. I think he's very much going to be, you've got to get the ball into the box to him. I think, you know, losing a game 1-0, stick him on, get crosses in. And I think people need to just relax a little bit on before we hype him up to the point where we ruin his career before it started.
Yeah, exactly that. Do you think he could be like a Gary Lineker where he's like a poacher, like he's in the box? Not saying Gary Lineker was a better dribbler, but do you think he could be that poacher type of player where you just literally, like I said, his game is give him the ball in the box and put it in the back of the net sort of thing? We're not asking him to score 30, 40 yarders. We're not asking him to do these unbelievable kind of passing ability like Harry Kane can do. Or because I think,
Savva said it best. Literally, in regards to the last 5, 6, 7 seasons, maybe before that, we've never had a striker who is a poacher come on off the bench and all that. It's always been Harry Kane, and you've got somebody to come on and run around for a couple of minutes at the end. You've never really had that.
Bergwijn, Lucas Moura, Richarlison, all of them, right? Yeah.
But the type of ball Ange wants to play, he likes to make subs because it's high intensity and stuff like that. So having him, if we keep him and all that, what's to say that we have, obviously, we play games where we have a lot of the ball, a lot of high intensity, like pressing and stuff like that. And then when you get to the end of the game, when teams are tired, we still continue the same way we are when we're playing ball. That he is that goal poacher in the fact that we get more balls into the box and he's there to help out or, get a goal. So it's a different way of looking at it. Like I said, I think it's a decent signing for Spurs as of now, but just don't overhype the kid. Let him grow. Let him get into that team and or get under Ange and see what Ange can do with him and how he can develop him.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, he's coming in. We're waiting to, they said today that they're going to wait and find out in the next 48 hours if he's going to stay around, if he's going to go out on loan. I'm all for keeping him in the squad, right?
I would like him in the squad.
I suppose a lot of that will depend on what happens with Kane. Because if you've got Kane in the squad and you've got Richarlison in the squad, I mean, have you got room for 2 forwards on the bench with Richarlison and Veliz? I mean,
I think so.
I think so. We've not seen it in the past. We've seen like 7 centre-backs who are all rubbish, all on the bench.
When was the last time, Sam, we had 4 strikers? That was we had Berbatov, Keane, Defoe, and Pavlyuchenko. Was the last time we had?
I love those days, man.
Yeah, that was fun days.
You know, it's like times. You watch Liverpool, for example. Liverpool can get to the stage where after about 60 minutes, they just go, right, Salah, Nunes, and Jota. Come off, right? Gakpo, Diaz, and I'm missing one, aren't I? Or Firmino's just gone, hasn't he?
Yeah. So
but they were like, "Yeah, you 3 come off, you 3 go on," and I love that. something different for the defense to think about.
Of course.
Guys, for the last 15 minutes, what I want to talk about is our outgoings. Lots of positive news this week. Well, yeah, lots of positive news in the last few days about signings, being linked with players. Unfortunately, lots of links with Kessie were obviously squashed when he signed for Al Hilal, maybe.
Al
Hilal.
Yeah.
So hard to remember who's gone where. Everyone's gone out there. At some point, right, lads, at some point, through the laws of physics and nature and the squad size, more than any of those two things I mentioned that have nothing to do with football, right, we've got to sell some players, right? Because that squad is getting bigger and bigger and bigger. When are we going to see this exodus of footballers?
Well, I think there's already talks about Ndombele in talks with Galatasaray. Do you know what? I'm surprised Spurs haven't sent them like in their when they first sent their like if they did it by email, right? Let's just say Galatasaray sent an email saying we're interested in Ndombele. Spurs, the first thing they should have done was send a YouTube compilation of Ndombele to them and say, this is what you're getting, right? Because if they did that, they'd be like, right,
but not in a Spurs shirt.
No, in a Spurs shirt.
No. A YouTube compilation of him playing against Man City for Lyon.
Savva, no. I've watched, right, not long ago, a YouTube compilation of Ndombele in a Spurs shirt, and they take all his best moments out when he was playing for Spurs. And honestly, he looks like a phenomenal player. Like it looks insane. It looks insane, but it's so far from reality. It goes to show you, it proves the point that highlight reels on YouTube do not show what the player's capable of doing because they only take out the best bits of what they've done.
Of course.
But
this is why I thought it was a bit harsh, the number of people that were judging Vicario. They were like, oh, I've watched YouTube videos and he's not catching many. And you're like, okay, but does catching a ball, I know this sounds really weird, but if you're putting a goalkeeper compilation together, you're putting in saves, right? You're putting in, good bits. You're putting action shots. You're not putting in, he's caught, so.
Yeah, exactly that. Exactly.
You're right,
that.
Danny. I mean, Alan.
And that's why I think like Ndombele, if they can get the reports are 11 million pounds for Ndombele, I would bite your hand off for that right now. I would take that in a heartbeat. And I think I personally think that it looks like to me Gio is going to be the guy who's staying and Ndombele will be the guy who will be leaving. And for me, I'll be happy with that for now. I'll be happy with that for now. It looks like Ange wants to work with him and Maddison as those kind of attacking type of number 10 type players.
Yeah, absolutely. Alan, I'll ask you this question, then I'm going to quickly nip out and nip back in to refresh my StreamYard. Look, it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because throughout this window, you've had links with Reguilon going to multiple different clubs. You've had links with, with Reggie, with Perisic, with Højbjerg, Ndombele, Lo Celso, Sanchez. Surely at some point, even if it's 10 million a player, you've got to start getting those backsides out the door, haven't you?
We do, but Spurs are notorious for getting players out so slow. I mean, there's still like 9 people in this squad that were there under Poch. For me, we need to get this sorted. I mean, wasn't it last season where 25 million came in for Harry Winks for Aston Villa or Everton at the time, and literally was like, I want 40 million for him, and I'm like, no, just get rid. So you got Harry. I'm at the point where we've got that much of a bloated squad. We've got players here that aren't good enough. If we can't get rid of them, just tear up the contracts. Get them out. You need to get this deadwood out. However, and if we can't, if literally you're getting like 10 million for each, like you said, and Daniel Levy, I see one report of somebody's going, oh no, we're holding out for 15. That's a problem in itself. We've bought players in for too much. They've not worked. We've held on for them too long, and now they're going for peanuts. So you have to just cut your losses, get them out, and go again. But we, as Spurs, always take so long in getting players out. Like I said, 9 from there, from when Poch was here. You've got people that were still at this club that have been here for 10 years. It's just the typical Spurs. We're so slow in getting people out because we don't want to sell at the right time. We never want to buy at the right time. This is how we are run as a club as a whole.
It is absolutely crazy, guys. Sorry, I had to leave there. I've just got all the comments for the last 10 minutes. I can go through again now. Guys and girls, please, just quickly, we are going to go for 11 more minutes. Please keep subscribing. We've gone past 8,500, but let's see if we can smash that number.
Well done,
let's keep going. Thank you very much. Keep liking the show. Thank you so much for all the super chats so far as well. We'll go for 11 more minutes. And then I have redirected you all over to Alan, who is doing his own show at 6 p.m. So please, when you're redirected there, smash a like on his video and stick around for his content. The interesting thing about this is, you know, we want to get loads of players cheap, don't we? Like when we're going in, it's like, we're 10 million apart on Vandeven for 7 weeks or 6 weeks. Then we want like 40 million for people like Højbjerg, and you're like, come on, like it's the way of Daniel Levy, but at some point you're going to get to a stage where you're going to have a lot of bad eggs. I'm not calling Højbjerg a bad egg, by the way. You're going to have a lot of rotten apples still in that dressing room, still around the training center, because we've got a squad of about 37 players. If you chuck in 5 or 6 of the under 23s, just sign Vandeven and Veliz, that takes it up to nearly 40. I mean, you can't have that many first team players, can you?
No, you need to get rid of
with no Europe. With no Europe.
This is the worst thing about it, Sam. I'm actually really intrigued to see because I don't know how many days it is before the Premier League starts, but they have to register their Premier League squad, right? And is it I don't know, is it 25 they can only register for the squad? Is it 25, I think, or 30? I can't remember how much.
28, is it?
Is it 28?
Yeah.
I can't. It's
someone in the chat. What's the rules? Who can you register
on the Premier League? Yeah.
And then haven't you got players that can play that don't need to be registered that have like come through the youth team?
Yeah.
Right.
So there'll be a lot of players probably who they won't have to register, but they'll have to register for the team sheets for the Premier League. And there's still way too many players on that first team that need to go. So I think what they're probably looking at is they're probably looking at Reguilon, they're probably looking at Ndombele, they're probably looking at Sanchez, possibly Højbjerg. Lloris is still to go. I think Lloris will go as well. It's a matter of time.
I didn't even talk about him. Wasn't he left? Yeah. Wasn't he left behind from the tour? Because
he was, and he's still training in the training ground.
Still there.
Yeah. He's still there.
Yeah. For me, in selling stuff, Daniel Levy is like the man that's selling his classic sports car or classic car that he's trying to get out, and literally people are coming out and going, but there's enough miles on the clock. Like in Lloris, there's too many miles on the clock. He's like, but it was good back in the day, like missing parts like Eric Dyer, and it's like, but you know, it's all that type of thing where it's like trying to get the max value when the product just is not that good. For me, you've got to take a hit on these players. If people come in and go 5 million for a Sanchez or a 10 million for Lloris on a free, or want to take people for 2-3 million, get them out. We are going to go into this season with a lot of people sitting around doing nothing because we have got too much in the squad and we're just not getting rid of them. It's absolutely ridiculous. This, like I said, this club is run so poorly at times.
And you know what the thing is, right? Like I think how many players can we load out this summer? Is it 6 or 8? 8 players, right? We can loan out.
Yeah, I think the maximum you're allowed to loan out any one time last year was 8, right?
Oh, so it might be 6. It might be 6 this year. Then, I think it's gone down. So
is that across completely? Is that like with your kids as well?
Yeah, and this is So the actual amount of people you can loan out that includes the youngsters. So the problem you've got is that Spurs have got this predicament right now where if they can't get rid of players because they're valuing them too high, right? Then you're hindering the youngsters who actually need to go out on loan to go and play first team football if they're not going to play with Spurs first team this season. And that's the biggest problem because then, say for example, Joe Rodon, right? Prime example. If no one comes in for him, if you don't want him in your squad, you've now got to loan him out and take up one of those loan spots for an Alfie Devine or for whoever else. And that's the biggest issue for me right now with what's going on with the outgoings. And I think they need to get a move on with some of these outgoings, man, and take a hit on them. And if it is Reguilon, let him go for 5, 6, 7 million pounds. It doesn't matter. We've just got to get rid of them because at least you get them off the wage bill as well.
This is what happens, right, guys? When you sign so poorly like we have for so many years, not talking about this window, we signed in a scattergun approach where players don't really fit any system. We haven't got a system for them to fit into. This is what happens, right? You end up with a lot of players that haven't worked out. So, for example, when Chelsea are selling players, when Arsenal can sell some players, you can sell them off the back of having a good time. Like Arsenal just sold Granit Xhaka off the back of having a really good year, right? Spurs, who can we sell off the back of having a really good year? You can't. 'Cause we've not had do you know what I mean, right?
Yeah,
so none of those players are going to fetch the fee that we paid for them. But if you can get 9 or 10 million for the bulk of them, like if you can get 9 or 10 million for Reggie, 9 or 10 million for Rodon, Sanchez, it starts adding up, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
Yeah.
Savva, look at the comment that just came in. Colin Turner, right? Look at that one by Colin Turner. I mean, that is just there's the funniest comment. No, the one it's one that says Levy's no mug, he will offload.
This is just so you know, this is as far down as I can go on StreamYard.
Okay. But basically, Savvy put one in saying Levy's no mug, he will offload. Right? I mean, I don't know where you've been watching, Colin, but Levy doesn't offload players that easily. He kept Ericsson so much so that we lost out on nearly £25 million when a club wanted him for 40 in the summer before he went, and then we owed him 17 million pounds in the January window. That's exactly what Daniel Levy's about. So
I've seen it in the studio. Yeah.
Spurs are FC. We really are. Literally, we keep players for way too long. This is why
that's the problem.
One of the best managers of all time was Sir Alex Ferguson. And the reason why is because he was like, I need to keep things fresh. If I don't think you're going to be like stuff like you go, I'll get rid of you and I'll get people in and all that.
He did it to top talents as well. They're best players.
Yeah, at times, like David Beckham, you know, stuff like people
Stam.
Yeah, exactly. Loads of people. And Spurs go, oh no, but there's a like, I'm to a point like Ange, a new manager coming in for a new system. If you see a player you want, you keep them. But when you've got, let's go, say the number off the top of my head, 9 or 10 players that have not been good enough for your club for years, you just need to start axing them. Be ruthless, rip up contracts. Other teams have ripped up contracts before. Spurs are like, we can't do that. We're going to lose money. Oh, we can't sell him for 10 million because we want 15. And it's just like a continual factor that goes on. And then when you get to a point like this, you've got a manager starting with a new system and you've got literally just a load of people that aren't good enough for this club, who aren't going to be good enough for Ange, just sitting there collecting a paycheck when really you should just be like, no, ripped, done, get out, you know, kick them up the arse on the way out. And you've got to start being ruthless because the way we're doing it is not working and it's not sustainable.
Yeah, listen, I don't disagree with anything either of you have said. It's look, we've got to think about the players as well. We've got to think about the players going out. That we've got to give them time to settle at a new club. And I know that's not our problem once they move on, but it just all feels a little bit crazy. It really, really does. Look, guys, I am going to wrap up there unless anyone's got any last burning things they would like to say.
No, I mean, the only thing really is it's great that we've got Vandeven in, and I just hope that we can get some players out and sort out this Kane thing once and for all. To be honest, it'll be so even if he is staying up once for one more season, just to have that confirmation, I think it'd be nice to just get it out of the way. Just
let it go.
That's it. Yeah, that's it.
He's gone. Let him go. Let him go.
By the way, Fabrizio Romano has tweeted and said Micky Vandeven will fly to London on Saturday in order to complete his move to Tottenham Hotspur.
So they will be revealed on Monday then, because Spurs like to take their time, don't they? They'll be revealed on Monday. Yeah,
and unless they reveal him on the pitch.
Oh, yeah.
On Sunday, quite possibly.
Yeah, very possible.
So listen, Alan, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming on, man. Really enjoyed it. I tell you what, Terry Button in the chat, I've just seen you. You are getting hidden on the channel. Danny, thank you so much, mate. Really appreciate it. Thanks for coming on. No, pleasure. Always, man. Always good to see you. Guys and girls, please, Alan is going live at 6. And then Henry Wright is live at 10 and Sean is live at 8:30. So it's all good fun. You've got an evening of Spurs YouTubers. I'm sure I'll be on with Henry at 10 just because Why not? Much love. Thank you to all the super chats. Thank you for anyone who subscribed. Thank you for all the likes. Thank you to anyone who became a channel member. On your way out, please smash the subscribe button. I'm going to put it in the chat. Please subscribe. Take care, everyone. And as always,
Levy out.
I was waiting for someone to do it. See you later, guys.
Big up.
Good things.